Think you remember the politics celebrities from the 70s and 80s? Think your memory's sharp enough to recognize history's power players in reverse? They led nations, shook governments, and made headlines. Now let's see if you remember faces. Keep score, drop your total in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more nostalgia with Viraloo. Let's jump into history. In reverse. Canada's first female prime minister broke barriers in the early 90s but rose in the 80s. That's Kim Campbell, now 77. She served in high roles under Reagan and Bush and shattered glass ceilings. That's Elizabeth Dole, now 88. A Scottish firebrand, this woman shook up Parliament. That's Winnie Ewing, who passed away in 2023. She was a bold voice in the U.S. Congress and blazed trails for women in politics. That's Bella Abzug, who passed away in 1998. From Hollywood to the White House, this man redefined conservative politics. That's Ronald Reagan, who passed away in 2004. This iron-willed leader ruled Britain for over a decade. That's Margaret Thatcher, the Iron Lady, who passed away in 2013. As VP and later president, he guided America through transition and scandal. That's Gerald Ford, who passed away in 2006. The peanut farmer turned president who won the Nobel Peace Prize. That's Jimmy Carter, still with us, 100 in 2025. A charismatic figure in New York politics and longtime governor. That's Mario Cuomo, who passed away in 2015. He ran 3 times for president and made "We the People" his battle cry. That's Jesse Jackson, now 83. She made waves as a conservative firebrand in British Parliament. That's Enoch Powell, controversial and remembered, who passed away in 1998. The man who made a comeback from Watergate's ashes. That's Richard Nixon, who passed away in 1994. A social rights pioneer and the first woman to run for U.S. president in a major party. That's Shirley Chisholm, who passed away in 2005. This Canadian Prime Minister had charisma, curls, and a lasting legacy. That's Pierre Trudeau, who passed away in 2000. He stood at the center of the Watergate hearings with cool determination. That's Sam Ervin, the Southern senator, who passed away in 1985. The ultimate Cold War figure in the Soviet Union. That's Leonid Brezhnev, who passed away in 1982. She shattered barriers as the first female vice presidential candidate on a major U.S. ticket. That's Geraldine Ferraro, who passed away in 2011. He took over leadership in China after Mao and opened the country to the world. That's Deng Xiaoping, who passed away in 1997. This senator helped create landmark environmental legislation and ran for president 3 times. That's Edmund Muskie, who passed away in 1996. From Germany to global headlines, this chancellor helped shape European unity. That's Helmut Schmidt, who passed away in 2015. He was a 3-term British Prime Minister and Cold War diplomat. That's James Callaghan, who passed away in 2005. This powerful voice from Texas shaped U.S. foreign policy in the 1980s. That's James Baker, now 95. An anti-apartheid symbol who became president of South Africa. That's Nelson Mandela, who passed away in 2013. He stood toe-to-toe with Reagan and brought reform to the USSR. That's Mikhail Gorbachev, who passed away in 2022. This former CIA director would go on to be a 1-term U.S. president. That's George H.W. Bush, who passed away in 2018. He shocked the world by surviving an assassination attempt and fighting corruption in Egypt. That's Anwar Sadat, who was assassinated in 1981. This fiery woman led India with force and focus. That's Indira Gandhi, who was assassinated in 1984. A towering figure in U.S. diplomacy and strategy during the Cold War. That's Henry Kissinger, who passed away in 2023. He inspired a generation of Irish politics and led the Republic with passion. That's Garrett Fitzgerald, who passed away in 2011. This tough-talking Chicago mayor had the city in his grip for decades. That's Richard J. Daley, who passed away in 1976. Leader of the Solidarity movement in Poland and future president. That's Lech Wałęsa, now 81. She led Israel through war and crisis with a steely gaze and gold-rimmed glasses. That's Golda Meir, who passed away in 1978. He governed California before Schwarzenegger and Reagan. That's Jerry Brown, now 87. A senator from Delaware with a fiery personality and long tenure. That's Joe Biden, now 82 in 2025. He was the UK's Cold War Foreign Secretary with dry wit and serious credentials. That's Douglas Hurd, now 94. This outspoken Attorney General fought against organized crime and corruption. That's Griffin Bell, who passed away in 2009. This Brazilian leader helped move his country toward democracy. That's Tancredo Neves, who passed away in 1985. He reformed France's presidency and redefined socialism in Europe. That's François Mitterrand, who passed away in 1996. A bold figure in Mexico's politics and democracy movement. That's Cuauhtémoc Cárdenas, now 91. He built Japan's economy into a global force. That's Yasuhiro Nakasone, who passed away in 2019. This man's rule in Romania ended in a revolution. That's Nicolae Ceausescu, who was executed in 1989. He was mayor of Atlanta, a UN ambassador, and a civil rights champion. That's Andrew Young, now 93. And finally, a name that still echoes in U.S. political circles. That's Tip O'Neill, Speaker of the House and master of the backroom deal, who passed away in 1994. She broke barriers as the first African-American woman elected to Congress. That's Shirley Chisholm, who passed away in 2005. He was the voice of conservative revolution in the Republican Party. That's Jack Kemp, who passed away in 2009. She championed women's rights and equal pay in the Senate. That's Barbara Mikulski, now 81. He brought charisma and controversy to New York City politics. That's Ed Koch, who passed away in 2013. He was a pioneering figure in environmental politics. That's Gaylord Nelson, who passed away in 2005. He shaped modern conservative thought and policy. That's William F. Buckley Jr., who passed away in 2008. She was a trailblazing congresswoman from Hawaii. That's Patsy Mink, who passed away in 2002. He led the fight for civil rights in the South. That's Julian Bond, who passed away in 2015. She was a powerful voice in the women's liberation movement. That's Gloria Steinem, now 90. He championed labor rights and progressive politics. That's George McGovern, who passed away in 2012. She was a fierce advocate for consumer protection. That's Eleanor Holmes Norton, now 87. He brought populist politics to the national stage. That's George Wallace, who passed away in 1998. He was a groundbreaking figure in democratic politics. That's Mo Udall, who passed away in 1998. He was a master of legislative strategy and deal-making. That's Robert Byrd, who passed away in 2010. She championed healthcare reform and social justice. That's Maxine Waters, now 86. He was a powerful voice in the anti-war movement. That's Eugene McCarthy, who passed away in 2005. She broke barriers in state and federal politics. That's Dianne Feinstein, who passed away in 2023. He was a charismatic leader of the Democratic Party. That's Hubert Humphrey, who passed away in 1978. She was a pioneering figure in women's political representation. That's Geraldine Ferraro, who passed away in 2011. He championed progressive causes and social reform. That's Ted Kennedy, who passed away in 2009. She was a trailblazer in environmental and social policy. That's Barbara Jordan, who passed away in 1996. He was a master of political theater and populist appeal. That's Jerry Brown, now 87. She championed civil rights and social justice. That's Coretta Scott King, who passed away in 2006. He was a powerful voice in foreign policy and defense. That's Scoop Jackson, who passed away in 1983. She was a groundbreaking figure in judicial politics. That's Sandra Day O'Connor, now 94. He brought intellectual rigor to conservative politics. That's Daniel Patrick Moynihan, who passed away in She was a champion of education and social reform. That's Shirley Huffstedler, now 100. He was a master of congressional leadership and strategy. That's Carl Albert, who passed away in 2000. She pioneered women's representation in executive politics. That's Juanita Krebs, who passed away in 2010. He was a powerful voice in civil rights and social justice. That's John Lewis, who passed away in 2020. That's it for this trip through political memory lane. How many of these power players did you recognize from their present-day photos? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow Viraloo for more nostalgic challenges from politics, sports, music, and beyond. The past is never far when you've got Viraloo. See you next time.